Inked Marketing and NSCTV.com are proud to present the NSC Roadshow Podcast Tour. As a creator, come be treated like a rock star as we take you on tour with podcasters worldwide, expanding your audience base with each show. Got a crowdfunding project you would like to tell thousands about? Come get on the tour. Are you a podcaster that would like more creators on your show? Come get on the tour. Visit nscroadshow.com.
Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Daphne Lage here. Join Nita Lanning and me on the Ragin' 2 The Vlogs show, where we talk about everything, nothing, and all the bits in between. Looking for hour-long conversations about indie comics, social media marketing, and crowdfunding, with the occasional rant and story time? Head on over to the Ragin' 2 channel on YouTube, Mondays through Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern to join in the chat.
Hit the button.
Ed Gein, Demon Hunter, on Indiegogo. After a deranged demon escapes the bowels of hell, Satan is forced to send a damned soul back to Earth as a demon hunter. Armed with a sacrificial dagger, Ed returns to his old stomping ground to capture the demon before the universe is destroyed. Ed Gein, Demon Hunter. Issues 1 and 2 available now on Indiegogo. Prepare for the ultimate face-off.
We've crossed paths more than once. I've whispered in your ear, shown you harmless little temptations. I am unknowable, yet you know me intimately. But you can always know me better. Collected here are 20 twisted tales that will thrill, chill, incite, and delight you from some of the most imaginative minds your species has to offer. This exclusive Indiegogo printing of The Devil You Know Better will be limited and numbered, with signatures from Mike Barron and Hart D. Fisher. Stretch goals achieved for this campaign will add interior chapter illustrations by Stefano Cardacelli. The Devil You Know Better. Back it on Indiegogo today, while you still can.
podcast, it's Critical Blast.
On pure speculation, just an educated guess, I'd say that man is alive.
My name is Montgomery Chester Williams. My friends call me Monty. Well, they would if I had any. You know, if the universe has taught me anything, it's what others refuse to admit. In the animal kingdom, the largest predator rules it all.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, Senior Chief Envelope Licker for Critical Blast Logistics, Myopic Proofreader for Critical Blast Publishing, and I answer the phone for Critical Blast Consulting. And before we get into the video, Rock and Roll Ninja, Knife Hand, Blind Spot. No, wait, wrong. I'm sorry, I got the wrong thing going here. The Devil You Know Better, currently live on Indiegogo. You'll find links for that under this video and elsewhere on the internet. You can't help but bump into it. We're putting it everywhere. So click on it, check it out. Tonight, we are talking about a different crowdfunder. We're going to go into some comic books. I know, big surprise, right? You thought I might do something different than a comic book, but no, it's comic books again. So we are going to dig into, the Magnificent Bastards. And to help me understand and navigate that particular realm, we're going to have Mr. James Rock with us. James, how are you, sir?
RJ, good to see you, buddy. I'm really, really excited for The Devil You Know More, but I think my wife's more excited than I am. So really looking forward to that. She loves these collected short story novels. So, yeah, that will be back probably tomorrow.
They were one of my favorites growing up, you know, those shorts. So you just start anywhere and read.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of what I grew up on was like the, typical Stephen King short story books. But the ones that really grabbed me were, I still have them, is all these like 500 creepy little tales or like 500 weird Western tales and like this kind of thing. They're still great. Read them to this day.
I had a collection of paperbacks, and I can't recall who published them or where we got them at, but they were on my bookshelf as I was a kid. I was like, the greatest poems ever told, the greatest horror stories ever told, the greatest detective stories, and I read all of them. I read them all the way through.
Well, one of the I would say huge influences on me growing up when it came to the short story scene was all the EC comic stuff. Like, classic to this day. I like that they're putting them out again because those old books from mid 2000s, early 2000s, those things go for like $400 or $500 a pop. Like, so getting them all is really difficult. So glad to see them coming back.
Well, the CCA put them out of business. I didn't grow up with any of the ECs, but where I grew up was the same town where they printed all the DC and Marvel comics. So everybody just brought home print overruns. So my horror short stories were Ghosts, Unexpected, House of Mystery, House of Secrets, The Witching Hour, all those DC horror titles. Marvel really didn't grab me with the horror titles because they were always monster stories.
Yeah, really watered down too. Like, yeah.
DC kind of kept the EC flavor with Cain and Abel and Destiny and all that.
Well, I mean, growing up with EC when they were first printing them, because I'm 95 years old.
You wear it well.
I do. It's surprising what Amica Cream can do.
They're a little bit more.
I loved like Tales from the Crypt, especially. You know, it wasn't a kids show, but I was definitely watching it growing up, and started getting the comics, and I think that's how I realistically got into comics in general. Like that was my first love, as well as like V for Vendetta, which, god damn it, we had the first prints of V for Vendetta, the floppies, and God knows whatever happened to them.
Yeah,
It's a
I
shame.
same boat. I had a complete run of Sandman at one time.
Oh God, I wish.
But then I'm the guy who's going to tell you the stories about how I had a box of comics that got picked through for electric bills and cable bills, and said goodbye to things like First Punisher, Death of Gwen Stacy, Yellow Suited Daredevils, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of sucks when you have to do it, right?
Yeah, yeah. If I'd have known, because every time you sell a comic, you're at the point where it's not going to go up any more than this.
I still have all my PS1 games in mint, and for years I've been going, I should just just sell them. What's the point? They're never going to go up in price, but I could never let go of them. Now I'm just seeing them skyrocketing. Like I have some titles that are like $800 for like a PS1 game. I'm like, holy smokes.
Yeah, the demand is coming back for some of that stuff, and Silver Age will always hold its value because they're not making them anymore.
When it comes to video games, if you got them though, guys, sell them because the discs do have a half-life. So at a certain point, they will be useless.
Yeah. So at some point, you decided to start writing comics, creating comics, and I have not shared the screen. Why have I not shared the screen? I am behind on things. There we go. So the question, I'm not going to ask who the walrus is because I know who the walrus is. The walrus is Paul. That question was answered decades ago. But I don't know who the magnificent bastards are, and that's really what this story's about, right?
Yeah, so I mean, this is the introductory story to the world, and it really kind of encapsulates itself within the first issue of being like a single story. It's like, here's the story of how this went down, and then leading into the series, it's going to expand and expand and expand. It does follow the main character is Montgomery Chester Williams. His friends call him Monty. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any because he's a bastard. He's a prick. Pardon me. And the first story basically follows his life, how he became this deplorable criminal, and kind of sets up who he is going to become, perhaps, if he can let go of being a prick.
So I love this cover. This is the Todd Kale cover here.
Yeah.
There's no ape in this story, right?
Oh, there might be.
There might be.
There might not be as well.
This kind of reminds me of like the laws of Julius Schwartz.
Oh yeah.
It's like what sells a comic, and there were three things that always sold a comic better than any other comic back in the pre-Diamond days when people didn't know what was coming out 3 months in advance, when you had to go to the shelf and say, oh, it's this month. I think a lot of the magic's been lost because we know what's coming out 3 to 6 months in advance now, and we make our decisions then. But it was a gorilla, a woman crying, the color purple, something purple.
Oh, man,
you had one of those three things on the cover.
So what you're saying is that I need to recolor the cover to be purple and put a woman crying in the corner.
Well, you had purple on it. You had the purple. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well there's the purple.
So if you ever read Alan Moore's Promethea when he was doing ABC Comics.
Oh yeah, way back.
Remember the advertisement that was always running through the story on the billboards was Weeping Gorilla Comics?
Yeah.
Had all three things on it. It was a purple gorilla that was always crying and saying something sad, like from a romance comic above her head.
I remember that. Yeah.
That was the in joke. It's like that comic would sell billions because it had everything that would sell a comic right there.
The cover itself is kind of representative of Monty's character because he's pretty much a monkey. Like he's not the smartest, sharpest tool in the shed. And as I've said it before, which is that he's funny in his mind and smart and witty and very well spoken in his head, but he's a complete imbecile when he opens his mouth. So the comic is heavily captioned of his inner monologue, and I love that aspect of it because I think that's true for a lot of people. It's just like in your head you sound great. When you open your mouth, like
yeah. And then when you hear it back from a recording of something, like, oh my God, I'm never talking again.
I don't listen to myself. I don't rewatch anything. Do it live, baby.
But he does have good taste in music because, first of all, he's playing vinyl. And is that a Beatles album he has there, or supposed to be a Beatles album?
Well, we didn't want to get sued, so it's a Walrus album.
Now, so if the monkey's metaphorical, is the walrus metaphorical?
No, the walrus is a character in the book. So that's Lucy the walrus, and she's an interdimensional walrus.
Okay, so
and this is the first time on a live stream this has been showed. This is the new cover. This is cover B, which is the Back to the Future cover, and this one's done by our colorist Rob. Did the whole thing.
So I'm sitting here thinking the whole time, Magnificent Bastards. He's a crook. He's a bad guy. He's got guns. We're talking street level thuggery here. Interdimensional walrus enters the scene. This changes things.
Yes.
So why? First of all, what were you smoking, and where can I get some? When you had the idea, interdimensional walrus comic book, yeah, let's do that.
Well, there might have been edibles involved of some sort.
It shows. It's got to be.
Or maybe some microdosing. Who knows? Yeah, it was one of those things that plucked out of the air. It was interesting because the original concept for the book had nothing to do with that, and it was just a crime story. I got to a certain point, and it just popped in my head, and I was like, "Oh, this solves every problem that I have within the writing." Because now I know exactly where we're going, and it's going to be an insane adventure now.
So I'm guessing Lucy's got communication skills of some level.
She does. Eventually, you will learn how to speak walrus. In the beginning, it's just walrus noises, but learning to speak walrus is part of it.
That's a talent to learn how to speak walrus. So I would imagine he could go to the zoo and put on a killer show.
Well, part of it is that you can kind of think of Lucy in the beginning as almost the DeLorean. She's the mode of transportation between realities. For years, Marvel has been fucking up multiverse stories, so I'm doing it correctly. This is essentially Goodfellas meets Doctor Who meets Back to the Future. Is like a quick combo elevator pitch. So after towards the end of issue 2, we're gonna start going some interesting places and other realities.
So is he at a point in his life then where I'm talking about Monty now, where he's like, I can go here and steal this thing from the past or the future, or is he more like, oh, I can fix everything I effed up and make something of myself? Which way does he lean more toward?
It's more of what the fuck is going on.
Okay, I just totally lost.
Heaven help me, what the fuck? There is a larger threat and something big going on that he is the answer to the equation and doesn't know it. So leading into the series, it is very much fish out of water and him learning his supposed destiny that he wants nothing to do with.
A chosen one, then.
He also has a fear of walruses. Like he has a phobia of walruses. So he doesn't really have the luxury of just hopping on Lucy and away he goes.
I now have to look that up because there's a word for that.
I can never pronounce it. It's auradornophobia. It starts with an O.
Otovanophobia.
There you go.
He has otovanophobia, and he's got so naturally, of course, a multidimensional walrus is going to be the key to his troubles. Do we know why he has a fear of walruses, or it's just the mustache?
Well, the mustache would do it. It's something that is delved into later. In the beginning, we don't really understand why.
Okay. It's an omen, Father. I shall become a walrus. Thank God Bruce Wayne didn't live near the zoo. Could have gone
Walrus
all
man?
kinds of bad ways. So who's your interior artist here? This is interesting style.
Yeah, so it's Samir Sameo. He's an artist out of Brazil. And absolute dynamite guy, awesome to work with. Takes the ramblings of a mad ginger and turns them into these beautiful pages. He's getting around these days, so you might see some of his work and other stuff. But I think this is the loosest cartoony style that he's done so far. His stuff does kind of fall into that like 90s Image Comics kind of style.
Yeah, sort of a rubber face.
Yeah, but I told him to, like one of the things that we wanted to do was go a little bit more cartoony with this book.
And I'm guessing this isn't the last page, even though we see Monty is about to splatter on the sidewalk.
That's the first page.
It's the first page. Okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah, page 1. See, I saw page 15 here, and I associated the wrong direction. So this is, you turn the page, record scratch. How did I guess you're wondering at this point, how did I get here?
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of, falling to your death. Let's take a look at my life of how the hell I ended up in this situation.
But I've read enough comics to know there's a space warp waiting about 3 inches above that concrete. Each can go whoop through it, and the police are going to like, where'd he go?
Could be. One thing that, as I'm sure you know, with Indiegogo, you got to be careful of is that the book does also have some pretty extreme gore that is not featured anywhere on the campaign because we might get pulled.
Oh yeah.
So, will he survive? Will he not? You have to buy the book to find out.
You'll have to get the book and find out. Yeah, 2 things Indiegogo hates is gore and butts.
I'm surprised that we've gotten away. I did an update a few weeks ago with a butt pic, and nothing happened. It might be because it's in the update. Maybe they went unnoticed.
You snuck it past them. We've already approved this thing.
Well, especially with the language on page 15 is like, really, really vulgar because the book is really vulgar. And, nobody seems to notice. So...
Yeah, they're going over. I love they're going over porn titles. And now, did you look these up? Or did
they're all made up. It's a drinking game I used to play with my cousin, where you had 5 to 10 seconds to come up with the porn title of the movie title that the person tells you. It's a great game. It's a fantastic drinking game. A lot of fun.
I used to play. What was it? I think we just called it internet porn. Or click to porn, and it was this is early days of the internet, mind you, where we would still like pull a URL out of a hat, and it would be like something like www.mormontabernaclechoir.com, and then you would start bidding, you say I can get to porn in 10 clicks, I can get to porn in 9 clicks, and
I see. You're over under.
Use the links on the page to go somewhere else. And could you find a path from that page to get to porn eventually?
That game would be way too easy nowadays. Back in the early days of the internet, that would have been a lot of fun. Now everything's porn. So.
Oh yeah. Just all you got to do is do the right searches for 5 days in advance, and then just click to Amazon. Oh, look, the pop-ups.
Oh yeah, there we go.
It knows I like porn. It's going to show some in the sidebar here.
Why does Amazon keep recommending this to me? I don't understand.
Oh.
But yeah, we used to play that game all the time. So there's many joke porn titles that are still in the old noggin. that I'm
They're fun
saving
to
for
come up
later
with.
dates. Saving for later dates, but
Yeah, you never know that there may come along a crowdfunder for porn movies sometime. Um,
I wouldn't be surprised.
you'll be set.
RJ, you said it, and that means it probably already exists.
Well, it's Rule 34. Come on, crowdfunding Rule 34. If it exists, there must be porn of it. Crowdfunding
Probably
exists.
probably
Crowdfunding.
already out there.
And if there's not,
Write it down.
if there's not, I wonder what it would take to establish that. Crowdfunded porn.
Isn't that OnlyFans though? Isn't that technically what OnlyFans is? Is kind of crowdfunded porn?
Technically, kind of, sort of, maybe. I thought they kind of. Oh, I'm thinking of Twitch. Twitch is the one that cracked down on.
Yeah, I suppose like if you're gonna do like crowdfunded porn movie with like actual plot and all that jazz. Yeah.
Oh, now don't overreach. Actual plot. No, you just need. You just need 90 minutes.
It's the writer in me, RJ. I can't help it. I'm like, well, the plot would be.
Yes, it can be an anthology. All you need are like 15-minute segments. That's it. You just need. They don't even have to interconnect. Just
Tales from
where
the
were we
Clit.
going? What were we talking about? The $1 million idea spawned.
I already named it. Tales from the Clit. There you go. That's somebody make it.
Ba-doom.
Ba-dum. So some of the characters basically Monty and his family end up in a situation where they have no money and an emergency arises where they need money. So he decides to rob a bank, and that's kind of the situation that knocks off the entire conundrum that he ends up in, is shit going bad. It's as I said, it's very very much like front end is like Goodfellas or a Scorsese film feel, and then around like page 25, something like that, it goes off the rails, and then it never goes back on the rails for the entire series. It's just
Where the story's going now, it doesn't need roads.
Yeah, you don't need roads once you get past a certain point.
I love these mugshots here because you got like all these either angry or crazy people, and then the guy in his graduation cap and gown holding it. Yeah, I got out of high school. And it's like, I don't think that's your mugshot, sir, but he's the car driver.
Yeah, he's just the driver.
Looks creepy here. And he's the driver because he's still too scared of Monty to tell him no, because Monty had a Rorschach moment.
So basically, the character is Adam Torrance, and he's the school bully when we're going through Monty's past. And he kind of causes Monty to break and become a violent individual.
Yep, and that's where, right there, pull him up. And that's why when we look at him now, he's got this puncture scar on the side of his face. Nice. We get to see how it came along. Yeah, he's totally scared of him now. Staying away from him.
And I just want to comment, the colors are done by Rob Cronenberg, and he's just knocking it out of the park. Like the colors give the comic a completely different feel. And we really wanted, I really wanted, we kind of went back and forth for a while because I'm like, I really want like Benway dots, but I want it done in a weird, different way that isn't like the whole thing's Benway dots, right? So, you could see there's certain points, like he uses them for shadow really well.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now.
And it really, highlights a different feel between the painterly side of it and that, right? Like the comic book style. So, big fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, the colors perfectly match the tone of the story because bright colors would just not do this. It wouldn't work. Even when you're at the zoo where, you're thinking, hey, leaves and animals, that the green could be easily bright, but it would just be jarring against the rest of the panels. Like the nice sepia tone he's using over everything here. Because it's in the past. And the past should always be in sepia tones. Even here where it's not shaded, but it's a flashback, more of a flashback scene. He's using those bendy dots right there. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. And then the walrus. He's covering his eyes as they go past the walruses.
A walrus. Yeah.
Is this his father?
That's his uncle.
Okay. Because I could tell he was no lettering. I could tell he's the guy who's picking him up from the police station. And his uncle's a great guy.
So his uncle is a criminal, and it's kind of how Monty gets into that lifestyle, is following after his uncle.
It starts him drinking at a young age and everything.
Yeah, and I absolutely love what Samir did. If you scroll up a little bit there, in like having those two images, which was in the script, it was just, here's the panels. He took that to another level of matching the gun in the mouth to the drink being handed to young Monty, and like really showing like, yeah, this uncle's like fucking up this guy's life, and now he's fucking up his nephew's life. And it's just,
I love that
it's
parallel
beautiful.
structure. Yeah, you got a guy who knows what he's doing here.
There's a monkey. See, I told you there's monkeys in this comic.
It's a monkey riding a lion, chasing this guy. So it's almost like Monty sees himself as the monkey, but his uncle is the lion. It even has the similar facial structure going on there.
A lot of levels to the book, sir.
Yes, but you're supposed to be making a funny book, man. I'm supposed to just like breeze through this in 7 minutes and say that was cool and toss it over to the side and maybe read it again, But you're making people look and think, and
it's something Samir and I talked about quite a lot, which is I have an opinion of like the way that I look at comics, and I know a lot of people disagree with this, but I look at comics as movies, and I'm of the opinion that the viewer or reader is the director. So they are deciding what all the characters sound like, basically casting those voices in their head. They're deciding when to move on to the next panel, which would be the cut in the film. The pacing of the story, how fast they're going to read through it. So we kind of applied that to the book itself to kind of give it a movie-ish feel, but like more so almost an animated series feel. So that it's almost like you're watching it rather than reading it.
Mike Walters in the chat shared and liked it earlier. Dropping by, say hi. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Mike.
Everybody watching, Mike's got his own show coming up here in 27 minutes, top of the hour, the Mike Stand, where he goes through the niche news of the day. Tomorrow night, he'll be actually doing the Friday night comic book retrospective, where he reads through Golden Age comic book stories. He's at early 1939 right now, so moving forward through time from the past. I'm digging this scene here. Cannot teach Monty karate. Because Monty probably knows how to fight. just get in there and punch. No, just kick him in the balls and
kick him in the balls. You got it.
So I'm not quite sure what happened here because you stopped telling the story for free. But I can tell that he doesn't like this guy. This guy goes to his car, and I'm seeing a pig. I don't know whether the pig's in the car or the pig's alive, but more animals. You're pulling in a lot of animal metaphors through here.
Monty comments a lot, and in the trailer you hear it, that he's essentially king of the jungle. He thinks of himself as king of the jungle, and he does use a lot of animal metaphors because he tends to think of himself that way. He also has, and you see the start of it, like right from the comic starts, the first dialogue in it, he has a nervous tick where he makes lists. So right from the jump, it's like 1, 2, like he constantly does that. He's constantly making lists in his head. And so he has a few nervous tics and wild things that he tends to think about.
One is that this is not some sappy story of redemption or actualization or any otherization. Two, you're not obligated to sympathize with my plight. Yeah, so his whole life is pretty much flashing before his eyes right here, and our eyes, as we see how he got to where he is. Now, we still haven't seen the walrus show up, and that's going to be later on. Is it even in the first issue? Did you say it was like later?
Lucy is in the first issue. The walrus
Lucy's
is,
in the first issue. Okay.
Lucy is definitely in the first issue. The walrus does show up in the first issue. And it's kind of the inception of how they meet and what happens because of that.
All right. This looks like it was probably graduation. Yay. Because I've seen that happen. Not a pretty sight. So you got some add-ons here. For option 1, buy a beer for a bastard. That $2. Where are you getting the $2 beer at, man?
Hey, I'm in Canada, man. We got some cheap beer.
And that's the third tap in the kitchen in Canada. Come on, hot, cold beer.
I got one of these days. I'll show you that we have beer brand beer, which is just a yellow box that says beer.
Love it.
It's the cheapest beer. It's no name brand beer. It's just called It's just called beer.
Beer. Oh. Well, at least they, truth in advertising. Option 2 is the Warm Bastard. This is a
Yeah, so it's an awesome hoodie. Those are shots of like the actual hoodies when they're being made. So it has a very large Broken Compass Comics logo on the back, and on the breast is Magnificent Bastards logo.
I'm liking it. And then the 3, you can get the print of this cover signed by Todd Kale. And all these items only ship to the USA and Canada.
So the Todd Kale print, we might change that depending on how much demand there is for it, and just ship them directly with the books. But if there's not a lot, then I'm not gonna spend more money on the shipping. Right? So.
I can help you with that. We can talk about that later, if you want. This is a great looking logo here because it's, first of all, it's a perfect circle. You don't have to die cut anything. That's a sticker waiting to be printed up at Sticker Mule, and you can just put it on all kinds of stuff. But where does the name come from, Broken Compass? Because I've watched Stranger Things now, and I know that a compass doesn't break. It's a magnet. It's always pointing to the greatest magnetic pole. It's not broken. The world is. So how's your compass get broken, and why is it called that?
I like that metaphor that you just used. The world is broken, not us.
Yeah.
It kind of came from that. Is like the idea is like comics are fucked. The industry I grew up loving sucks, and so that was kind of the inception of the idea. And our artist for the logo, Jesse, he does some phenomenal work. He kind of took the idea of an astronaut that can't find his way back. He's just kind of floating through space.
That reminds me very strongly of the opening sequence of Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
Although he did make it back, and then he died. I know this because I just watched it. I've got the steel case down in this. I got about a dozen DVDs here that are on my review stack.
I haven't seen it in a while. I should go back and watch it. It's been a few years.
Well, they just released it in a steel book, and it's got both Heavy Metal and Heavy Metal 2000 in it.
I wasn't big on 2000. Last time I watched it, which was years and years and years ago, I was like, I really liked the first one.
Yeah.
Probably give it another go.
The first one was a frameworked anthology, so you got different things going on.
That's what I liked about it. It was exactly like Heavy Metal magazine. Like,
yeah, 2000 was just a feature-length Fact 2 story.
They should have just called it Fact 2. Like, I mean, yeah. I can understand why they didn't, but
well, they wanted to
capitalize on
Heavy Metal name, but they could have done Heavy Metal's Fact 2, just like they've done National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
No, exactly, yeah. I think if maybe they marketed it that way, it would have done better. Maybe they could have been doing a bunch of those movies. Probably why it didn't do well, because people probably went in with the expectation, I would think, of being like, oh, I'm going to get another anthology, not understanding that they're sitting there through an entire story. Right?
Yeah, they kept waiting for this one to end and the next one to start, and it's like.
But there you go, RJ. You asked if Lucy's in the book. There's a nice, beautiful panel of Monty riding Lucy with the saddle and all.
Yeah. So he's. So, I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to say, does she come with a saddle? How'd she get the saddle on? Was somebody else riding her before? Are they looking for her? Do they need to get her back? Is he running from them? So many different, options here. I mean, who lost a I almost said cybernetic walrus. I'm channeling Jack Chalker's last book. Who lost an interdimensional walrus lately? If you left it lying around somewhere. Now, you've worked in radio and film. I'm not psychic. I'm reading the page. But have you done comics?
Yeah, I mean, like about 15, 20 years ago, I actually did ghostwriting for some of the larger labels through a third party. But I did stuff for some well-known books way back, and always wanted to get my own book off the ground. Was never able to. Crowdfunding was in its infancy back then, so you kind of had to rely on the goodwill that doesn't really exist in the mainstream comic book world for somebody to kind of sit down with you or give you a chance. And so I went back to doing other stuff. After a certain point, I got a little bit disillusioned about the whole thing. And also, when I was doing it, I was seeing more and more, well, you wouldn't call it SJW talking points back then, but that kind of thing was starting to become a little bit more prevalent, like preaching that, like, things becoming preachy and this kind of thing. And I have no interest in writing that stuff, so I kind of, exited out of it and went back to doing some film stuff and radio stuff. Hosted podcasts, radio shows for a few years, and then eventually just it just felt like it was time. It's like I gotta get these comics out.
So when you say comics, are you talking the multiple issues of Magnificent Bastards, or do you have other franchises in mind?
Both. So one of the things with Broken Compass Comics is that the idea really is to start helping small creators publish through us as well, eventually. That's where I want to get it. And that really comes from my experience of trying to get stuff out through the big time publishers and not being able to. So I love what you're doing with, doing this anthology book that you're doing is like, that's the way to do it. Give people a chance to get published. And I'm big on that. I have probably 4 properties of my own that I would like to do eventually. But after we get Bastards rolling, the main focus will be on a few other creators who we have sitting in the wings waiting for us to do their campaigns.
That's what I've been watching happen, and I predicted it would happen early on in the crowdfunding. Crowdfunding was going on for a while because I backed a couple of books that, before it got hot, before 2016 really launched everybody into the crowdfunding sphere with comics, is that I'm like, some of these guys are going to come together and just create a publishing house, and they're just going to work together and have a shared universe, and we'll have multiple writers and multiple artists. I've seen that with Iconic Comics. They're doing that now. There are a couple of other ones that are doing that. I wouldn't say that All Caps Comics is quite that. All Caps Comics is more like an Image, where it's like, you do your book, but we'll handle the publishing end of it for you and marketing. Not quite the same thing as Iconic, where they don't necessarily, Iconic books will cross over. They have a shared universe. In fact, they are crossing over now. They've got that Common America, Black Hops, Soulfinder.
Oh, right, yeah, I saw that.
So all 3 of their books in one now, establishing that it's all in the same place.
Yeah, what we're looking at doing is more of the Image Comics model. I don't really want anything for publishing people's stuff. Like, I don't want any ownership of it. I want people to own their stuff. That's what CG is all about, right? So like, I would never want to impose that on anybody. I just want to be able to, if we can grow it big enough, I want to be able to be one of those people who are really helping, be a little bit of a launch pad.
Yeah, and you can do that and still make money. There's nothing wrong with that. You are at 194% of your goal, by the way.
Yeah, so the initial, so you're looking in USD for us, so 650 or $60 was the printing costs. So I just set it up as the printing costs because I fully expected to kind of eat the barrel on this one. Being new to the scene and nobody knowing who the hell we are, just wanted to get it out the door. Now, if we can start getting more backers, which I would love to be able to get this book into more hands, that's going to be starting to pay for issue 2.
Yeah, well, you got to pay for your artist too. So
yeah, exactly.
There's nobody's working for free. You can get this for 47 USD. So I'm going to say that's a higher price than I normally see on a book. So tell me why. Tell me what the value is here.
So that's the Magnificent Bastard. So that's going to be a physical copy of issue 1 cover A signed, a copy of issue 1 cover B signed. So you get 2 copies of the book. You get the digital copy, a bookmark, Lucy the Walrus art print, I Heart Walrus, badge, and the Broken Compass Comics badge.
Okay, that's on me. I totally misread the.
Oh, no. I put that
as the number 1 book. So
yeah, no, I put that as the featured. So that's 2 copies of the book. So that's the, I guess, deluxe version for those that want both covers.
Okay. Now, when you say badge, I don't know
like
if there's like a sheriff's badge.
No, like a pin. Like a pin. Like we call them badges. Like I don't know, what do you call them in the U.S.? Like,
I think we just call them. There's 2 kinds of pins. One is the kind where you stick it straight through and then you put your little rubber stopper on the back. The other is where it's laying across the back of the pin underneath.
Yeah, it would be that. I mean, if we can get high enough, I do have plans on like making those like really crazy. But as of right now, they're just going to be like the pins. I guess I should have called them pins.
Yeah, buttons sometimes.
Buttons. Yeah, I don't know. Badges is the typical.
You can get really good die cut acrylic from Sticker Mule.
Oh yeah. Maybe we'll do that because that's awesome.
And they're cheap. They're cheap. I did these for one of our clients. I didn't tell him I was doing them, by the way. I just we had Life on Korra number 4 come through, and I was like, here's how it works. Sticker Mule sent me a thing that was like, I really want to take advantage of this. I can't afford not to take advantage of this. They're going to print 50 pins for a donut and $5. But I didn't need them for myself. I'm like, I'll take Mike Jimmy's character and I'll just throw one into every package, and then he can say, "What the hell?" when people start putting up pictures of what they got. And then I sent him the rest of it. So this is the digital, $8 US. That's about okay. That all's right with the world again. I can understand all of it. For everybody who needs digital, that's a good deal. $24. You get the bookmark, the digital, and cover A. And I'm going to bet it's 24 USD when I'm reading the italicized one here for cover B. So very cool. Pick either one. You got a savings if you pick the one up here to get both covers. Plus you get extra cool stuff.
And
then the warm back, the logo zip up sweater. I like the fact that I'm now out of options. This is everything else can be add-on, right? Because
that's the way, right?
Back there.
Yeah, and especially for the first campaign, I didn't want to go too crazy. So, and I did get help from some dudes in the CG community. Originally, there was a few more options, but they really kind of helped me hone it down to the necessities. And
especially for a first book.
Thank you so much out there. You know who you are. And so wanted to get it as simple as possible.
Karen Nicole's got a very simple one that I thought was just brilliant, because I've predicted again for a while that, these campaigns were going, because you remember when, like, even as much as a year ago, there are like 37 different permutations of ways to put this together.
We're going to send you a house in the mail.
Yeah. It's going to take you an hour to find the one that, this is the one that's got everything I want. So when they put add-ons out there as an option, like, it's going to get down to, here's the book, buy the book, everything else is on the add-on page, throw it in there. Karen Nicole just said, here's the shipping, buy the shipping. You get nothing. You're buying nothing but the shipping, $10. And then you start adding stuff up and into it until it crosses the $10 barrier, and then it goes up a little more. So it's just like it's like when you walk into the library sale and you give them $5 for a paper sack, you can just fill it.
It's a smart model. I think it's really smart to do it that way.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's
interesting.
people are going to take advantage of that add-on function.
I should mention the book is 42 pages.
That's a big book.
First issue is 42 pages.
Yeah, I was going to ask what the size was on it, and I'm not seeing a date.
So there is a date somewhere. I don't know where the hell I put it.
'Cause usually you see it right here,
Yeah, we are looking to get it out the door by September, hopefully.
Okay.
Is the fulfillment time frame.
That's probably down here in risks and challenges.
If the book does if the campaign starts doing like crazy good, that time is going to be cut in half.
Yeah, because you got a delivery deadline to October 2022. It's down here.
Yeah.
Little bit buried, but I don't think you can change your tiers now because you've got backers on them.
Exactly. So, and I'm not a whiz kid yet when it comes to doing campaigns. We'll get there.
Oh, yeah. I had to. Our campaign is up, and it would have been nothing if I hadn't talked with the folks over at the Global Frequency, who are absolute whizzes at setting up these campaigns and getting the graphics to fit. We've got a little stretch goal graphic there that. Because for every $500 we hit, we're going to throw in a story illustration, one per story, until all 20 are hit. And we're like, well, that's 20 different stretch goals. What kind of a map can we get there? And Neff was the one who came up with the idea for, why don't we do the 9 circles of hell, and we'll just put like 2 on each circle perimeter, and then 2 in hell itself, and there's 20.
Yeah, I've seen it. It looks incredible. It's so cool.
Pulled on that. So I'll probably have to get help from them or somebody else when it's time to reveal an image, because I'm not a Photoshop guy. I do everything in PowerPoint. That video with the flames and the voiceover, that's this microphone and PowerPoint. So I'm limited to the tools that I have.
Yeah, I mean, you learn as you go. That's the other thing, and the community's so good at, we have so many people that are so great at many different things that, like, they can teach you. So the last thing I'll say, too, is if you go directly to the bottom, the last thing there is just to kind of mention that something that's important to me is that the book is dedicated in memory of my mother, who just passed away last month.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Suddenly. So the book is dedicated to her now. So something important to me.
Did she knew you were doing comics?
Okay. Oh yeah, she was excited for the book. She was really
okay. Because I say, did she look at it and say, "Why this one"?
Oh, she knew the whole story. Like she knew where it was going, and was a big, really excited for it. So. So yeah, just it is in her memory now.
Excellent, very cool. So another reason why people should get it there and back it. And folks in the chat, if you haven't done so already, and I know you haven't because I just refreshed it. Okay, so it didn't move. You didn't make me look good tonight, guys. But there's always the replay. And for folks catching this on the replay, the link to this campaign is right below the video. It's the very first thing you're going to see. You can click on it while you're listening to the video. It won't take you away. You can continue listening while you're throwing some money at this book. Very good deal for the size of the book you're getting. It's over 40 pages for $24 US. And it's got a gorilla. It's got a monkey on the cover.
It's got a monkey on the cover. What more could you possibly want?
You read the book, then you put the book in one of those comic book frames and you just Velcro it to the wall. There you go. You got a perfect little print that people are going to look at when they come into your office. Right? That's a monkey on a bed listening to a record. So, yeah, we call that art.
Well, I know. I know it's only Thursday, so maybe payday we'll we'll get some more. Don't feel bad, RJ.
Yeah, it's some days are diamonds, some days are stones. I live in a quarry.
That's the way. And as I always say, if the book isn't for you, just make sure to go back another CG book. That's all I ask.
Yeah, and I never tell people to like the stream, but certainly do please share it because your friends will like this book. Some of them are going to like this book, and some of their friends are going to like this book. So that's how this social media thing works. I watched it the other day. Jesse Eisenberg, I'm like, oh, this is where he played Lex Luthor because it sure wasn't in Man of Steel.
Yeah, what was up with that?
I don't know. That was a Joker / Riddler version of Lex Luthor. But
DC
him showing the
Comics
lawyers
and
how stupid they were in that setting that framed the social network, that was Lex Luthor.
oh yeah. I mean, I just mainstream movies and mainstream comics make me want to die. So I just kind of tune it all out these days.
I hear you. They can't. I don't know. They can't replicate their own success, and it's a very simple formula. So we'll do it for them. We'll do it for them here in the crowdfunding scene. So, James, thank you so much for bringing the Magnificent Bastards onto our show tonight and sharing it with our viewers.
I appreciate it, RJ. Thanks for having me on.
You have still 31 days left. I'm assuming those are your second 30 days.
Yes, because I didn't do a good job promoting the first 30 days. But we'll probably go on demand. The book is getting more eyes, more interest. So probably go on demand for a bit.
All right. Well, if you want to come back in a couple of weeks and give it another go here, we can certainly get you on our calendar and sit down and talk more about comics. We can expand the conversation some.
Yeah, awesome. I'd love to.
All right. Folks in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We do not have a show without you, so we're always appreciative when you show up. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.